you, Forbes. Hello. Thank you, Forbes, and hello, everyone. Thank you for your kind words. And those of you watching the replay, you just missed it, but it was good. So it's great to see you here on a Monday morning. And hello to those of you watching the replay. Yes, we are going to have fun today. It's a jam-packed session. You will be able to watch the replay, pause and read quite a lot of the detail I have squeezed in there. And I'm going to start with my favorite, absolute favorite, once this decides to move, of course, favorite quote. Jay Baer is a very well-known American marketer. And in these few words, he highlights what is the problem that is happening. And what's happening is that we keep doing what AI really should be doing. So I would encourage you to have this at the back of your mind and constantly ask yourself on a daily basis, what I'm doing right now, is it something that could be done, the bulk of it, the prep of it, can that be done by AI? Can it be done perhaps a little bit faster? So this is one of the ways to identify these specific tasks that get in the way of our productivity. And this is the agenda for today. As you can see, there's a lot. I'm going to walk you through the mistakes, and then what comes out of that is what I now call the AI productivity code as a guide for all of us, and a note to self, by the way. And then we're going to discuss the toolkit and specifically workflows. And then we're going to put it all together, a very straightforward, easy plan for next year. And as just before we start, I'd like you very quickly to pop in the chat two things. First of all, what's your favorite tool? Where are you finding yourself spending most time when you're playing with AI tools? And what kind of frequency are we talking about? Is it embedded in your daily work? Is it frequent, as in on a weekly basis, or is it very much on and off, or project based? If you wouldn't mind letting me know, that would be great. And Forbes, are you still okay, or shall I dive in, because I can't see the chat from here? But what I'll do is I'll hold on for about 30-40 seconds. And then I think Forbes had to dive into a quick call. So let me have a quick look at the chat.
I can be your assistant.
Okay, so ChatGPT, Claude, thank you. Nearly every day I use Perplexity for everything. That's fantastic. Answer C for me, which means, Patrick, it's on and off a bit, and perhaps you can let us know what's your favorite.
Sorry, I don't use. I hardly ever look at any AI at all. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So
because you had A, B, and C, so I see.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. So you're right. So today, two things are going to happen for you, Patrick. You're either going to run for the woods, or you'll be hopefully inspired to get started. Let me know at the end how that goes. Daily work, Copilot fairly, Roberto, Copilot very regularly, excellent, but not in depth. Thank you. That's a very good point. And Claire, you use it daily. What tool are you using, Claire?
So a lot of it is integrated into my design software. So it's like doing things like cutting somebody out or something like that. So I am using it daily, and I use Claude for kind of written stuff just to check, just to be my proofreader and that kind of thing. And so a lot of little bits, but it's not, I don't feel like it's still touching the surface, if that makes sense, probably, of what I could.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Thank you. We're not discussing design at all today. I imagine that you are using the integrated tools. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And as Forbes said, that's my mission. And I have been working by myself. Have set up my own company as a corporate SKP a good 15 years ago. And I was focusing quite a lot on LinkedIn marketing and B2B marketing. In 2020, when the first content creation AI tool, copy.ai, for those of you who might be familiar with it, I was a beta tester. I was so fascinated that we could add a few, we now call them prompts. Back then in 2020, we were calling them instructions, commands, and it would produce sales and marketing copy. And when ChatGPT was released to the public, at the end of this week, 30th of November, it's going to be 3 years. So it was the 30th of November 2022. I started playing with it, and I always share very openly this story because it's true. And it's one of the reasons behind me focusing on AI. Literally 5 weeks afterwards, first week of January 2023, a client of mine, I had just finished working with him. I had to do quite a lot of copywriting because he said he would do it. He didn't. The project got stuck, so I ended up doing it. Then he gives me a call, and I knew that at some point in that year, we would probably need to do a follow-up work with him to continue some adjustments on the project. And there he is on Zoom, just after a couple of days after the new year, telling me that, oh, have you played with ChatGPT over Christmas, Celia? Yes. He said, yes. And you know what? He said, I don't need you anymore. I don't need your services. Anything I need to do with marketing, I can do with ChatGPT. So I had a few sleepless nights, and I thought, oh, okay, if he thinks like that, who else might be thinking like that? What does it mean for me? So I made it my mission to dive deeper. And as Forbes said, I keep learning, learning, learning. I have my own Saturdays where my brain gets fried with all the certifications and the classes. And it's been fun. I love technology. And this is my mission, how to enable small and mighty businesses like us here in the room to become AI driven. So let's begin by, I'd like to share with you what I discovered primarily by making the mistakes myself and also through the conversations with my clients. There are 3 absolutely spectacular AI mistakes that get in the way of our productivity. They clearly sabotage and drain our time. We don't want to do that, so I'm going to go through them and give you an alternative. The first one is, and I know I've been there, Danny bought the t-shirt. I'm an ambassador for the shiny tool syndrome. My excuse is that I'm an AI marketer, so I keep testing various tools, but that's not the way to go. It's very easy to get hooked on beautiful reels that are across on social and think, oh my God, this is new, this is amazing. And we start looking at it. And what happens is that we get stuck in permanent beginner mode. We don't dive deeper. And the alternative for me for that is to ask ourselves, rather than thinking tools first, to ask what's the task? What exactly am I trying to achieve here? And then definitely there is a tool for that. So the shift that we all have to be making is from superficial across the board knowledge to selecting specific tools and diving deeper. Now, the Oracle trap, and this is where we use the tools, specifically the big 360 tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And Patrick, if you haven't played, Claude again is a very big Bianthropic. These are the big multitaskers, effectively. There is a couple of others from Meta and Grok from Twitter or X. But the ones with the better reputation is obviously the leading is ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. And sometimes we're in a rush and we have something, a burning question. So we throw it in and we kind of use the tool as an exam machine. It's like, give me the answer and give it to me now. That's not really how to make the most out of it. Instead, I would encourage you to shift into collaborative mode. The AI tools are co-pilots. It's a great name from Microsoft, actually using their AI as co-pilot. We want to give context. That means we're spending a little bit of time bringing them in as you would an intern. You discuss options and you refine together. You push back, you ask for more, you are demanding, say, make it sharper. But we just don't want to be using it for short, sharp things. Now, I don't know who here is familiar with this new word that's been developed from Harvard Business Review, work slop. And that happened in September 2025, if you're watching this on replay. And work slop is phenomenally sloppy work that looks as if it's polished. It looks as if it's good, decent work. There's lots of words there. But once you actually start reading it, you realize it's just generic rubbish. So work slop is another way, that's how I define it, not the official definition, is AI-powered laziness. That's what this is. You're trying to throw, this is very real, by the way. Very recently, Boston Consulting prepped a report in Australia. They charged over $400,000. I think that was Australian dollars. And what they discovered, there was a great deal of work slop. So the team that was responsible for researching had thrown things in, they hadn't checked the work, they had populated, it looked big, impressive, but it was full of mistakes and nonsensical in the sense it didn't have, it is producing noise. And they were taken to court and they had to pay quite a huge fine. So it does happen, it's real. What we don't want then, of course, is to outsource our critical thinking. So what we want to be doing is not to start from an empty canvas. We don't want to start, we want to aim, and a good aim would be probably around 60-65% that the AI tool you're using is doing some of the background work. And then you spend the rest of the time, 30-35%. This is where you apply your own experience, your expertise, you bring in information from your clients, and you refine, you edit, you polish. And that has led me to think through what is the AI productivity code, as I call it. And these are the three things I'd like you to consider whenever you're using AI. Outcomes first. What am I looking to achieve here? And then I'm going to find the tool. Think with AI. It's a collaborator. It's your thinking partner. And the most important thing, and we are going to spend the majority of the session today on the third point, which is about building workflows. Now, once you discover something works and you've tried it, you want to turn it into a mini system. So repeatable processes, easy steps, templates that can be repeated. And these are the three key things that are going to help us, all of us, to find to unpack that secret of the AI productivity code. And this is where I would encourage you to just dive in for the next couple of minutes. I'm going to leave that on. I'll share with you a little story before I ask you quickly for any thoughts on what we've discussed so far. Last Thursday, the 20th of November, I attended the Future AI Summit in London, and we had a big section on productivity. There was a very interesting talk. We talked about AI and ethics. And one of the things we said, that it reinforced that my own thinking is actually in alignment with some of the much bigger thinkers out there, that it is about the workflow. So there are two levels, if you want to look at it. The first one is accelerating us as a single professional, making us do better things faster, even things we don't like doing, but we know we have to be able to deliver them. But also the magic, the real magic on productivity is on the workflows. So what we discussed at the summit is about return on investment. In the AI CMO circles that I inhabit, there is a lot of conversation about the ROI. And we have examples and case studies from anything from enterprise levels companies all the way to micros, who are saying, I've invested, I got this tool, I got that tool, I got training, and yet I'm not seeing the results. When is it going to start paying off? What is going on? It appears to be elusive. And I think one of the key reasons is that even bigger organizations make that mistake, that they look at the productivity of a particular person or a particular team within the organization without actually connecting in a workflow the different departments of an organization. In our case, and I'm going to assume most of us are either solos or micro businesses, even if you have a couple of partners and you're working with them or someone helping you, again, it's about making that connection between the different systems. Do we have any comments? Let me just jump off the share to check. Feel free to unmute yourself very quickly. Does that resonate, what I mentioned so far? Any other thoughts, or shall I move on? No, I think silence.
Hi, Celia. Nice to meet you. It's Riccardo. Yeah, I think it's very, very useful. I find myself personally trapped in this is a new one, this is a new one, and I think focusing on the task, it's actually a really good solution. I don't know if I'm jumping steps. So if I'm jumping steps, don't worry, we'll touch it at the end. I just wanted to ask what tasks do you find most useful apart from the classic copy edit, copywriting?
That's a great question. Yes, you're right. I'm going to make some suggestions of workflows. And when we discuss custom GPTs, I'll explain what that is. Then I'm going to be asking you the question and I'm going to give you some ideas. We can have a very quick 2-3 minute brainstorm of what that might be. Just to give you a quick snippet and for all of you to have at the back of your mind, we are looking for repeatable tasks. The ideal for productivity, repeatable tasks. So you might want to look at your week on a Friday afternoon and say, okay, what have I done again and again and again this week or next week? That's number one. Tasks that take too long, far too long. It could be anything because you are busy, or perhaps your skill set isn't quite there, or because you just don't like them. but they are taking longer than they should, and you know that. This is also a very good candidate for AI productivity tools and workflows. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to continue now. Thank you for the input, Ricardo. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So let's dive in. Right. So this is I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail on this one, and I'm calling it go-to-market workflow. It's going to help you if you're launching something completely new. If in your existing business, you're looking to have a new service, a new offer. We always look to update our services or maybe tweak them. Maybe you want to build an app that you think will be quite complementary for the client work that you're doing. So you have this idea in your head. So we want to take it off our head. We want to do the right steps from a marketing business perspective. And the outcome is we want to have a sales page. It could be an entire website, but here I'm looking for a specific sales page where you take that idea and you test it in the real world, in real time, out there in the wild. And there are 6 steps in this workflow. The workflow, by the way, there are areas that you can automate. I'm not going to discuss automation so much on this workflow, but this is, if you like, a sort of a manual workflow, but I like to highlight the steps. So anyone who has ever done, launch something new, goes through these steps. So let's see how that looks like with specific skills. So here's number 1. So the first step is when we're launching a project, we want to create a place where it's our single source of truth. We want to be inputting information there so that it can help us assess and make decisions. So you can start very simply. Let me know in the chat if quite a lot of you are on Google Workspace. I believe a lot of people are. I know someone mentioned Copilot, so that means your Microsoft 365. But let me know in the chat quickly. Now, if you're using Microsoft has something similar, but I find it a little bit clunky. Google Forms, where with Gemini AI, you can summarize, you can create charts, you can visualize the information on the forms. Is amazing. All I'm saying is if you know it's there, all I'm going to say is you haven't, that's one of the challenges we have, by the way. There are tools we're familiar with, we've heard of them, we've used them, but now they have, they've been at the receiving end of major AI upgrade, and Google Forms is one of them. There is another tool which I love. It's a little bit more advanced, but it's absolutely fantastic, especially if your go-to-market project or your client's go-to-market project, by the way, it's a little bit complicated and there are a lot of variables. Airtable.com, you can try that. It's project management on steroids. It can help you with some light CRM. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. Yes, it does need a little bit of a learning curve, whereas Google Forms is straightforward. So you want to create that single source of truth. And then we jump into market research. And we want to look at what that market is looking like, what the investment like, what some of the big players are doing. Is there anything in the news, anything to assess? And the tool is Perplexity. Perplexity is absolutely brilliant. And in all the steps, though I'm not going to repeat that, in all the steps, the key points or the summary, the gist of each step, you want to stick it back to your single source of truth on Google Forms, on Airtable. And this is just a simple AI prompt to keep you going. I'm not going to read it out, but just in case you get stuck, start asking what the environment is looking like, what the competitive environment is looking like. I'm going to make a little note here that as you know, there are free tools, and by all means use them. I'm of the view that quickly enough, if you use something a lot, quickly enough you discover you want to jump into the paid versions, which of course do a lot more. And Perplexity is one of these tools that, though it started as a replacement of Google, and initially I thought, okay, what is this doing, like 2 years ago, is now become a key research tool, but now it also writes content, which is fairly new, and it writes good content based on the research that it has done. So we want to understand the competitive environment, and that's what we do. And the third step, now we have some information and we want to analyze it. And this is the thinking partner bit I mentioned about the AI productivity code. We want to have a conversation. So we use ChatGPT. I would use the paid for this particular workflow because there is a lot. I will use the paid version, and this allows you to create a project. That means you can tuck under there all the relevant conversations. It enhances its memory and it keeps it all nicely in one place for you to explore. So this is where you work with ChatGPT. Obviously, if you prefer Gemini or Claude, that's absolutely fine. ChatGPT is ahead, especially the latest release, 5.1, is also a little bit more conversational, which is quite nice. So you want to copy paste what is your idea, the research findings, and then ask it to act like a strategic advisor. There are a couple of things here. I'm not covering prompting. This isn't the purpose of today, but a couple of things for you to add, and I think that's important. Keep saying, don't make assumptions. ChatGPT is a phenomenal people pleaser. Even if it doesn't have all the information, it will still dive ahead and give you the answer. You want to stop that. That's a productivity drain. You have to read the answer, think, oh my God, this is wrong, go back. So straight off the bat, say, do not make assumptions. Ask me questions first. What else do you need to know so that you can act as a brilliant world-class strategic advisor for this type of business? So ask it to ask you. Otherwise, it won't do it. Claude, on the other hand, and I'm sure you've experienced this, those of you who use Claude does that. And I love that about Claude. And it's brilliant, which is one of the reasons that Claude is one of my super favorite tools, actually. I think there is a degree of sophistication when it comes to Claude. It's just that ChatGPT has more functionality. Then the fourth stage of this workflow is to create the avatar, who is our ideal client. And of course, I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't keep banging on about the ideal client. But can I tell you a little secret? In all the years I've been in marketing and all the businesses I have talked to, they all start by saying to me, oh, I know exactly who my ideal client is. Absolutely. I'm very clear in my head. So then I start asking some clarifying questions, and pretty quickly, normally by question 3, what they end up saying is that really everyone can use this product or service, and it's really wide. But here's the thing, anyone with a pulse, and I say this putting my little fingers on my pulse, on my neck, anyone with a pulse is not your avatar, is nobody's avatar. So this is quite a critical one. So start working and continue with the tool you've been using. In this case, I selected ChatGPT. So under the project, it now remembers the context So that informs the exercise on the avatar even better. It has enriched the information, and now you want it to go deeper, not just geodemographics, but also emotions, pain points. Other things I haven't included here is where do they go to find information? Do they tend to be, which platform do they tend to go for more? The other little trick with the prompts, and you may already be doing this, is to keep asking the AI tools to give you the sources. So in my ChatGPT, which I use a lot, and I use the paid version, I have trained it and I've put in the memory that at the bottom of each question, each answer that you give me, you have to list your sources and only go and find reliable sources. So that allows me to check things quite quickly. And then the fifth area is that now, with all of this information, we are ready to draft a sales copy. As I mentioned before, we are looking for a good 60-70% copy that then you refine, you polish, you make your own. There is, we could do on this one. In fact, I am doing workshops specifically on this one. One of the key things here is not to sound like a bot, is to develop the tone of voice, which is quite an exercise in marketing. One of the things I would say to you, if you write a lot of things, then you copy paste examples in and you say, this is the type of thing I really like. Can you please follow kind of this tone of voice, this type of pattern, this type of rhythm in the language, short paragraphs, single phrases, statements, give it information. I like emojis, I don't like emojis, everything that you like. If you haven't written your own stuff, then I'm sure that from wherever you are playing online, you would have seen posts that you think, oh, I really like the way this person writes. I really like how that post, that, it stopped the scroll and I actually read the entire post. So you can use that instead, put that in and say, look, I don't want to sound specifically like Claire, let's say, but I like the way she writes. Can you just give me a little bit, some ideas? So that's the trick. And finally, and this is a lot of fun. Now, quick question for you. Let me drink a bit of tea. What's the word of the year? This time every year, Oxford University and what's the other one? What's the American dictionary? Merriam-Webster or something like that. They announce their number one word of the year, and the clue is right here. So the American word of the year is vibe coding. What on earth does that mean? We like a little bit of jargon in tech, don't we? So vibe coding is when you don't need to be a coder, you do not need to be a web developer, but you describe the look and feel of a web page, of a website. Is that possible? Yes, my friends, it is. And I would encourage you, this is so much fun, honestly. I don't want to throw you in a shiny object syndrome, but it's just so much fun to show you the capabilities. Lovable is an amazing website, and that's what it does. You go in and you describe, you can use templates. So that's what vibe coding is. Now, Lovable itself, as with all, initially, when it started like a couple of years ago, you could only design a website, and then that would save time. Then you could go to your web developer and say, okay, can you just now replicate this in WordPress? And because that's exactly how I want it to look and feel. But now Lovable allows you to host websites through their system. So literally at the end of a vibe coding session, you can press publish, which is pretty amazing and a little bit scary, or maybe that's just me. So yes, that's where we are. There was a lot in this workflow. We're going to do the other workflows much faster. Now, you may be thinking, I don't have go-to-market specifically projects, but the reality is we all work in projects. And when you have a project in mind, or you're working on something on behalf of your clients, there are various steps. And what I just described may just be a rinse repeat for client work. So I hope you found that useful. Any quick questions? And I'm going to give you very generously 5 minutes to grab yourself a cup of tea before we come back. Any quick questions? Let me just open up. Hello, Forbes, you're back.
Yes, I'm just listening in and just checking to see if there's any questions just before we have a quick refreshment break for 5 minutes.
I would like to ask you a question about Livable.
Yes.
So would Livable create your website from scratch? So if I give them some of the prompts, if I upload my CV and a couple of other things, would that create a website for me which I can launch it on internet?
Yes, you can. Obviously, you are going to have a lot of iterations. It's not going to be, I wouldn't like you to think that it's a one-click process, because it isn't. I think, yes, you can upload your CV as your context, but you will still need to describe what you're looking for, because from the CV, it won't know.
Yeah.
So you can say, I'm starting as a consultant, and this is my background, or whatever that may be. So describe it as you would to a real person.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a lot of fun, that tool.
Okay, so it's now 10:40. So just have a little break, and we will come back at 10:45. So you can switch off your cameras and your audio. Well, you've got your audio on silent anyway. And we'll come back in about 10:45. Thank you.
See you soon. Welcome back, part 2 of the AI productivity session. And we are now going to continue with our next workflow. And that is the discovery call, a sales call. And the reality is, unless you are running an e-commerce business where everything happens automatically and magically online, the reality is that at some point you will have to take a sales call or discovery call to discuss specific options with someone who's interested, or to close the deal. And this is the workflow for those. So we start with a booking page. We create this manually. Calendly is a well-known option, but again, if you are in the Google Workspace ecosystem, you may want to, there are lots of benefits now with Gemini AI, which is Google's AI, to start using the pages and the integrations that Google has. It just makes it a little bit easier. So we have the booking page, and this is where we can start using very light automations to make our lives a little bit easier. If you're in the Google Workspace, you can set up a Google task that sends a reminder in your calendar a couple of days before, the day before, to allocate some time prepping for your session. So you think a little bit of research, checking online, maybe even Perplexity, depending on the size of the customer as well. If not, then you can use Zapier. And Zapier is it allows you to have a number of free integrations. You create a trigger that's in their language. It says, once a new appointment arrives in my Calendly, you set up a reminder that goes 24 hours before for prep time, and you allocate that time over there. That's nice and easy. Then you go ahead and you actually have the call. You can use Google Meet or Zoom. Now, those of you who may have heard me talk about this before, I do like Fathom quite a bit. Google Meet does transcribe. Zoom, I have used Zoom for years. It's an amazing tool. I would say Zoom is the number one and Google Meet is number two. If you're using Teams, Teams is quite clunky. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. That's why I haven't, you can still do things with Teams, but it's a little bit temperamental for my liking. Now, what Fathom does, it attaches itself to the call, and not only does it transcribe, it records the call, and then it has the actions. So the next step now is we have a 30-minute, 45-minute call. We want to have a summary and the actions. Make sure who said is going to do what. Again, if you use Gemini AI or Fathom, it can be done. And this is where you can set up another automation and effectively say when a transcription is generated, so that's the trigger, in Gemini AI or in Fathom, then you need to create different tasks in my task application, which could be anything from Google Calendar to ClickUp, Trello, Asana, Monday, whatever you're using, it can be connected. So the idea here is you ask it to make different tasks per action, per the core action. And again, it goes straight into your calendar and your workflow. Then you can also take it a step further to keep things nice and tidy, is to, because you know what happens, I mean, I do it all the time. I dump things on my desktop. I know I'm doing it. Just don't tell anyone. And then I think, oh my God, I need to allocate time. But if you do the Zapier, it takes that summary, it takes these actions and say, okay, you're going to add it straight away into my Google folder, my G Drive, into this folder where I have the summaries and the transcriptions from all the discovery calls. And then you want to create a follow-up email. And again, we're talking about 65 to 70% preparation. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini AI, it drafts the email for you with all the actions. In your style, you create a template and then you go from there. Now, this would take a little bit of time to set it up because you have these light automations. It's quite easy, even if you're not familiar with these tools. Zapier, first of all, there's a lot of support online, but actually it's quite straightforward and easy to use. And we're not talking about multi-level automations. It's a very simple, if this, then that type of automation. It doesn't have variables. This is where it starts to get a little bit more complex. So this is a nice, easy thing. Let me know in the chat if this is something you can see yourself setting up. I'd love to see some yeses. And I'm going to ask Patrick, let me get off the, I'm going to ask Patrick, because I did say that Patrick would either run for the woods or be inspired to do something. How is it going so far, Patrick?
I'm still here. I'm not in the woods. I'm not behind Ricardo hiding in the plants or anything like that. So I'm still here. In that respect, yeah, this one's interesting. This one here, because I do have quite a lot of calls and stuff, and I'm not using. I have actually thought very recently about actually setting up, because I do create my calls by emailing people and saying to them, oh, you know, I could make this time, this time, this time. I have been thinking, you know, I will use like the likes of Calendly or something like this to and let them have the option, let them pick the time. But that seems to be quite a normal thing now. And so I do like the idea actually of recording the call and creating the transcript and the action straight out of it. I like the sound of this Fathom, I have to say. Unfortunately, I am a Teams user, so that's not good. I might have to change away from that. That's not good. But does it work as well with the likes of like a traditional VPN call as opposed to something like a Teams or a Zoom? So I have like a lot of people, I have like a landline that ultimately just comes to my mobile phone and stuff. I often will sit here and will take it through the computer. Would it work with that as well?
Yes, yes. And Fathom does work with Teams. I mean, Teams is good, but it is
No,
clunky.
it's a
That's
bit
that.
clunky. I will agree with you. I mean, it's
Yes.
because it comes free with the I say it comes free. It comes with my Office package as opposed to having to
Mhm.
pay for more than because a lot of my calls will last more than 40 minutes and Zoom will drop you out and stuff. So I've got to pay for that, obviously. So
Google Meet is an hour.
okay,
So you may want to try that. I mean, this is the area where I would say, especially as you know, but a lot of us do a lot of these meetings. This is the area that you are not risking shiny tool syndrome. It really
yes,
is worth looking. Okay, Zoom has the restriction with the minutes. I agree with you. Why not play around with Google Meet to see what's
yeah.
happening? So thank you, thank
I
you.
definitely need to look at forms as well. I mean, you're not the first person to tell me about Google Forms actually and stuff. But a couple of people have told me to have a look at this. I really must take a look at that as well. Actually,
Good,
a few people have told me about this now, so that's something else I need to
excellent.
think.
Thank you, Patrick. And Claire has said yes, she's doing quite a lot of this streamlining. Are you? Do you mean the automation bit, Claire? Perhaps.
Yeah, so I do. I've got Calendly, um, although sometimes it's still email tennis trying to get a date with somebody. So it's not always used, but it's there if people want to use it. And because I've got the Google suite so that it automatically does all the kind of action points and things for me, which I always see and go, wow, it's actually quite amazing because I always think, oh, it's going to get it wrong, but it's pretty accurate. So it's good.
It is, but
Really
you always check, don't you? You have
got
a
to check.
nagging thought. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for that. Let's go ahead now for the next stage because this workflow leads me quite nicely. Let me get rid of the floater to the custom GPTs and what on earth are these? So these are specific. Look at it like a mini GPT, chat GPT, but it's designed specifically for you, for something you want it done. And the way to explore them, I'm going to jump live to show you very quickly, is you can create them if you're a paid user, but everybody can use them if somebody else has created them. How secure are they? It depends on the packages. I would always say, always be a little bit careful with any sensitive information. If you have business account on ChatGPT, so there are two of you, then it's a lot more. It's your data is encrypted, and yes, it does automate with Zapier, which is something we like. Now, I'm going to do a quick example on this one because it all links together. I just want to show you kind of the next level up. So first of all, we need to be clear what is the objective. It's a mini program. We're going to program by coding. That's what we're going to do. And we say, I want to convert the transcript into a sales follow-up email. And then you want to update information, you want to upload, excuse me, a lot of information, what you have done before, the types of calls, give it some ideas, and then define very specifically how you will want it to look like. By the way, as another GPT, I'm not going to cover it, but just to give you an idea, because Ricardo, you asked me for ideas, something else that normally comes out of discovery calls is sending a proposal. And again, without having sensitive information about pricing or anything perhaps too sensitive that the client might have shared, you may be able to create a GPT that has again, 65, 70% of the proposal is ready, even more actually, I would say. So one GPT could be the follow-up email, which is effectively a sales email, isn't it? Is part of the sales process. And then another one is to say, okay, this is the transcript, this is the follow-up email. Now, can you start creating the proposal for me? Just to give you an idea. So this is what more or less you need to be doing. There's quite a lot. So what I'm doing, please let me know if you can see my ChatGPT screen. Thumbs up. Yes, Claire, thank you very much. So just in case you haven't used ChatGPT, you will notice here, this is dark mode, by the way. I'm dark mode on everything. You can change that. You click GPT's Explore. There are a couple of options. So this is brand new to you. Spend a few moments to look at what other people and other companies have created. This place is a little bit like your phone's app store. That's what it is. And you will notice here that some big companies, let's say Canva, very recognizable name. So this is by Community Builder, but what you do, if you click on it, it starts giving you some ideas. It has a rating, how many conversations, conversation starters, and rating to help you. But they're official GPTs that a lot of companies have used. And you can search. So you know, I've created some of my own, but you can search, for instance, sales frameworks, and it can start, as you can see here, you have a sales coach who has created their own. This is where you can be quite creative and include it as part of your offering as an add-on, creating your own GPT. So I would say first have a little look, explore the ones that are already there, but then you want to create your own. And this is what we do very quickly. You go into create and you have two. What we'll do is I'm going to stick all of this in something I prepared earlier. And while we move on, I'm going to ask it to work on this. This is quite a lot of detail, but let's see. In the last session, it decided to get stuck midway through. But this is quite a long prompt. So now, as you can see, it's thinking, and it will start creating on the right-hand side. It will ask me for feedback on the name, on the icon. It then asks me to test it, and I will test it, and then I'll decide and say, okay, I'm happy with that, and then we will go create. But in the meantime, let's proceed. We will revisit this page. So now you can see it starts to come back to me. So you see it's coming back with some notes. That's good. It's not coding. Yes, yes, yes. I'm aware of that. How it behaves is telling me various things. So all of that is good. It's just to give you an idea. And this is vibe coding in action. If you click here where it says configure, this is where, if you were a coder, Python is the language of AI. You'll be able to go in and do more custom work. But we just want to write things. So this is vibe coding in action. So now let's proceed on to the next step. So what are the ideal tasks? I think I mentioned this, Ricardo, earlier, and I'm going to ask you now, this is where I'd like you to spend 1 minute, because we still have quite a bit to cover. I'd like you to spend a minute based on what we've discussed today. Have you identified so far, have you identified something that is worthy of a custom GPT? So pop your questions, or your comments rather, into the chat. I'll leave you in peace for a few moments. So Ricardo is saying post writing, targeted email templates. Excellent. That's very good. Facebook leads to sending to emails. Roberta says, I don't know. I don't even know where to start with that. Okay. I can't see Roberta, by the way. Probably the... Definitely continue my social media newsletter, but also my proposals. Yes, to weekly newsletters. That's a great one, by the way, because I'm sure that, Christina, you would have developed a structure for your newsletter. And that's actually quite good. So you can say, okay, read the news or these items, or you can feed it on, say, search for news that have happened in my space, and then start populating the different sections of the newsletter. Market research template that could help me with my early stage of design competitiveness. Market research template. I am not terribly sure that that's a GPT job, Claire. I think if you're still at the early stage of thinking competitive analysis, you may just want to go to under projects in ChatGPT, and because you're going to need a lot more conversation and discussion. Whereas
it would probably follow on from the discovery bit, if that makes sense.
Yes. So that bit, yes, absolutely. If it needs a lot of conversation, then probably not.
Okay.
Can it create a regular post for social media? Yes, it can, depending on the source. What are you giving it? So, for example, I have created one, which is an RSS feed for me, and I call it AI News. So every day I go, I click today's AI News. I have selected a number of good sources which are reliable with integrity, that I know I can rely on the information, not just anything that's out there. So from that, I can take some ideas and populate things and my emails and everything. So you could do something similar. So you need to feed it some information. But I think you all have some good ideas. Ricardo, I would say, because you said you wouldn't know where to start, may well be that ChatGPT is a step further. So maybe why don't you discuss this with ChatGPT first to say, this is what I do. This is the type of activity. I think I am hunting down repetitive tasks. Can you help me in becoming more productive working with you? Can you help me through that thinking process? The result would be to create a custom GPT. So you see what I'm doing here. Use it again as a thinking partner to help you identify. Okay, so I think that probably makes sense for you. So let's continue. Stop the floater because it's on my way. Okay, good. Right. So this is fun. And again, I'm going to run through this. Who doesn't want more leads? Who doesn't want more quality leads? Here are a few straightforward options. Obviously, LinkedIn's Sales Navigator is extremely good. It's not perfect, but it is expensive. Another source you may want to use is Lasha. You can download a few leads for free to check them out. And you can pay something on a monthly basis, 1 or 2 months, until you collect some data. Most of us don't need gazillions of leads. We probably need more leads than we think we do, but we don't need millions or hundreds of thousands. So I would say run a project with this workflow to test it and then make a decision. So first we want the leads. Then this time we're using Perplexity. We used it previously to assess the market, what's happening in that particular sector. Is the sector growing? Do they have any challenges. But on this occasion, and this is very true, if you are going after companies which are limited companies, have been around for a little while, even if you're going for bigger enterprises, you are actually looking for specific information for that company. So it's not going to be relevant for all of you, but this is how I would use Perplexity. So put the name of the company and say, okay, have they been in the news? What's happening? Can you identify what type of content do they share? So do your research. And then you want to research a specific prospect. And I love using Crystal Knows. This has been around for a very long time. It's like a disk profile. It's an extension. I'll show you in a minute. It's an extension onto LinkedIn. So you have your LinkedIn page. You go to the prospects page, and then it tells me Patrick is likely an analyst. Patrick is likely to prefer, sorry, Patrick, I can see you right under my video, so I'm just inventing some things. I know nothing about you. Patrick probably likes short to the point emails. And so, you know, it's a little bit like a disc profiling. Doesn't always get it right, but it gives you an idea. Sorry, let me have some tea. It gives you an idea rather than going blind when you want to talk to a prospect, when you want to send them a direct message on LinkedIn or possibly write a follow-up email. It helps you not to go blind, because the reality is we all have different preferences. And if you talk to analysts and you send them an email, it has to be quite detailed. Other people are in a rush. You have to have one liner at the top, get straight to the point. Otherwise, they're not going to bother. They're not going to read anything. So wouldn't that be helpful if we knew that? Crystal Knows that. And write the sales message. We've covered this before. And this is a brilliant information. So let's do a quick little example. So let's say you have services to sell to trade associations. So insert your particular focus area. So you ask Gemini to do deep research. Chat GPT, the paid version, does very good deep research as well. You ask it for the steps. Now you want to create a database out of this, so you're being quite specific on the information you're looking for. And then, as I mentioned, this is more or less what Crystal Knows looks like. It allows you to test 10 profiles for free. So I would suggest, if your LinkedIn profile is updated, then go in, open an account, test it on your profile first, and then possibly on a couple of people you know you worked with quite well, and then see, okay, is Ethan truly an analyst, or is he a dynamic entrepreneur who's always in a rush and you know, jumps onto the next thing quite quickly? So it's an amazing tool. It is a little bit pricey, but you use it for a very specific function. Now, I want to jump because I want to allow some time for us to discuss things. The final stage of what we're covering today, we are now only a few days away before Christmas. Actually, in a month, it will be Christmas Eve. I can't believe this happened. I blinked. It was January, and then I blinked, and now we're here, end of November. How can we put this all together in a practical way that is designed to create focused calm and to avoid overwhelm? And this is what I'm suggesting you do. So each quarter, you divide your year into quarters, 90-day cycles. This is quite a nice time frame to be focusing on the specifics. And each quarter, starting each quarter, you have to make 3 decisions. One outcome, one business outcome that you would like to have, specifically that content, that quarter. I am not talking about revenue here. I'm talking about AI productivity outcome. So again, look, what is it that is costing you time, energy? Is it, do you want to have a more smooth line? Does it take too long to write your social media posts? Do you want to focus on your discovery calls? What is the one outcome? So this isn't, I want 5 new clients, it's the step before. It could be, I want to launch a new service. Some ideas from what we cover today. So we want to be focusing on one outcome. One, we know what you want to achieve. Then we're going to use one key tool that you are going to seek to understand at a deeper level. Remember, staying on the surface is not helping anyone. So start with one tool and then build around that tool and around that outcome, build one workflow. Some ideas that we discussed today. So 3 decisions each quarter. And then at the end of each quarter, we want to have a quick assessment. What we've done, what we've created, because everything would be different. Some workflows, as I've shown you, some workflows are bigger with a lot more steps involved. Other workflows are a little bit tighter. So at the end of each quarter, you have another decision to make, which is this. Do I want to keep working on my one outcome? Then you can change the tool and the one workflow and keep optimizing it, making it better, faster, adding it, refining the workflow. Or am I quite happy with what I've got, is working well, I've tested it in the last 90 days, and now I'm ready to start a new cycle of one outcome, one tool, one workflow. And you roll your quarters like that into next year. And by the end of 2026, you will have some very solid workflows. You will have deeper understanding and knowledge, and you would have achieved mastery in some of the core tools that we are using. And then you will start noticing the results in your business. Now, what do the results look like? It could be anything, and that's why I've included here some metrics. And these are the key questions we want to be asking at the beginning. Am I getting my time back? So again, when you look at repetitive tasks, very briefly, we're not looking at science here and absolutely accurate mathematical equations. So roughly every week, it takes me an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that is, to do X. Okay, now that I have finished the quarter and I have worked on this specific area, how long does it take me to do this now? And this is where you'll be able to see the differences. A good, I would say that a good aim might be to start saving consistently 2 hours per week. 2 hours per week is a day a month. It's 8 hours a month, is a day a month. So that is, so again, let us not get overwhelmed, start thinking, oh, I'm going to become a superhero, superhuman, supergirl, whatever. It doesn't quite work like this. Start building it. The key operative word here is consistently be saving it. Then the other metric you want to be using are things moving faster. Do I move from A to B? How long did it used to take? How long does it take me now? And again, the discovery call is a good example of that. And so that we remain focused on what matters most. So rather than keep being busy, we are saying, am I doing more of what truly matters? Am I doing more of the important things that keep my business moving forward? And am I doing these things or these priority tasks at a good quality level? So this is the beginning of how you can start measuring the impact of your AI productivity exercises. And naturally, as you go along and you explore your objectives every quarter, you will start adding more and more. So this is what we covered today. We talked about the 3 mistakes, the shiny tool object, asking for the oracle trap, the answer, the exam answer. We talked about not using it as a collaboration. Then I suggested that you follow the AI productivity code, which is all about working with AI as your thinking partner. And then we talked about different tools and workflows, and finally with the plan. And just before I open up the room to conversations, this is where you can get in touch with me if you are not already connected on LinkedIn. I'm primarily on LinkedIn, though I'm pushing myself to be more on Instagram. So that's me. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. And here we are, Forbes. Let's have questions.
Thank you so much, Celia. I think similar to the other sessions, this has been recorded. So I have sent everybody a link for the previous 3. So we'll play catch up and get this one up. And the advantage of this is, you can ask questions now, but you can watch these clips again and catch on bits which maybe didn't make sense the first time, and you can play catch up on it again. Are there any thoughts or questions? Patrick?
How's your thing going in the background there, Celia, in the GPTs?
So I didn't quite catch that. You were
were
breaking up a bit. Yes.
Oh, sorry. No, you put up there about 20 minutes ago the GPTs and stuff. You were letting it run in the background. How's that going?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. Thanks for reminding me. Yes.
10 out of 10, Patrick, for the continuity there.
And thank you for sending through the link, Forbes. I know I'm a broken record chasing you.
No, you're absolutely right in asking, nudging. It's been a particularly stretched period, and so we've now got those up. So we'll play catch up. No, thank you for nudging again.
Okay, so it's asking me some questions, and I said, go ahead and create it. I'm rushing it through. It hasn't actually produced anything yet, so I'll share it if it's creating something. But what I can do in the meantime, if you find this, I can try again. Yes, there it is. You see, it got stuck. Let me share it. Let me share, hide the control. So initially, I could see a blank page here. So I said, go ahead again. I can try again. Here it is. So this is what happens. That's the beginning of. It has given it a name. It gives the objective and a few things for you to now test. So the next stage is for you to actually test that. So you add a sample summary, write the next steps, and eventually when you have tested it, because once you test it and you don't like it, you go back here and say, can you refine? This doesn't work well. And I suggest you spend a bit of time on the testing aspect, and then you do create. You create it, and then you can decide whether this is a private GPT or a public GPT. The App Store, GPT App Store, showed you they're all public. So for this kind of that we're talking about, the discovery call, obviously it's private. You can share GPTs, by the way, with other paid ChatGPT users with the link, if that helps. So if you have if you're a team, small team, you can share the same GPT and still keep it private.
Celia, I've got one question. Yeah, I've got one question. Can you use ChatGPT to
reply your Google reviews?
Yes, I saw that. You can well, it's a two-step process, and then you need to see whether I haven't tried it. That's why I'm hesitating ever so slightly. I will try to do it on Zapier. So I think the first thing is to, if you are in the Google ecosystem, to get Gemini to read the review and excuse me, to set up a task to send you an automatic alert when a review has been left for you. I think that's one of the challenges. Unless you go and look specifically, you could miss that somebody said some wonderful things about you, right? So create an alert. That's what I would do first. Then keep it within the Google ecosystem. Create an alert. It has happened. Then ask Gemini to review the review and create a little response, and then see whether you can. I don't think Google can do that, but Zapier might be able to connect the two. I would say go ahead and give it a go. Even if you do 3 out of the 4 or 5 steps, that's still a productivity gain, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
I think I've said this to Celia. I think there's my favorite anecdote, which I heard on a Radio 4 program one afternoon, because they were talking about AI, and I've shared this with Celia, was that there was this private researcher. He'd spent 3 years putting together a research document, and he had done his homework. He had not shared it publicly with anyone. And he had finished his 3 years, and he had formalized his whole thesis together. And he shared it with some colleagues, and some of the colleagues sort of said, have you sort of run this past ChatGPT or Claude or the similar kind of thing? And he said no. And in fairness to him, and it kind of a lot of modesty and humbleness really with this, is that he did put it through and to sort of just see what would happen. So again, he'd been spending 3 years within a massive project. Within around 3 weeks, it came back and said his research was essentially very sound, absolutely fine. But it also offered him 3 other alternatives. And he read the 3 alternatives, and he could have jumped off the top of a building. He just went, that is right. That is absolutely right. Those 3 other options are actually viable. Now, yes, it obviously took 3 weeks, huge kind of project. He had never shown that publicly anywhere, but it is just the immense power of putting things together. He obviously knows his subject, so he knew that the 3 propositions were accurate. But I think I'm still hugely a novice with all of this. And Celia is absolutely right. You need to challenge the clause, the chat GPTs, because it is a people pleaser. But it can, on a number of things that Celia has gone through, but other broader things, really be an amazing trigger, a spark for you to think of different, sort of to help with a whole number of different things. And Claire, you're like this, I'm a designer by trade. I was rather gutted when I went into the office next door and spoke to my team, and Alona had put one of my designs into ChatGPT to get feedback on it. I was just like, you did what? And it sort of itemized, sort of, have you done this? Have you done that? Yes, I bloody well have done that.
I did a course then.
It is that yin yang. It's that kind of using it as a conversation element, as a kind of a bouncing board. And it could save time. But yes, I thought that was a bit on the cheeky side. So be careful, Claire.
Yeah. I have done it. I did an AI course last year, and one of the things was to ask it to give you feedback. It was particularly for designers, and you had to basically ask it to roast your work, and it was really quite vicious. It wasn't actually my work I put in, I'll just say, but yeah, it was very funny.
You didn't put your own work in.
Well, no, it was just a task on a
Yeah.
course. So,
But I think this is where there's a universality in terms of whether it's design or whether it's nutrition or whether it's accountancy or various other things. You need to be very specific, drill into it, but it can trigger things which you may not have seen. So I think from that point of view, it can be very productive. It can save you a lot of time thinking around.
Well,
I'm just
I hope Forbes, that the young man who wrote the 3-year thesis, didn't break down in tears, but saw it as like a trilogy that he could sell to the public afterwards or something like that. On top of it, I've got another solution and another solution and another one.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel if after 3 years a bit of software came back with the result after 3 weeks, which again, reinforce that yes, what you've done is correct, but to give you some alternatives is massively humbling.
Definitely. And just to ask a little favor, guys, if you enjoyed this session, if you would like to leave a little review for me on LinkedIn, send it by email, put it in the chat.
Everyone's on
Google.
GPT right now writing it.
Oh, right. Again.
And as I've said, thank you, Celia, and as I've said to everybody before in the
pleasure.
previous sessions, this is the start of a conversation. So if there are things which come to mind today, later this week, or whatever, and let's just come back in. I'm sure Celia would be very happy to just follow it up and take a situation from there. So this doesn't have to be the end of this particular conversation. So just keep coming back. And that's the same for all the speakers here. But thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to see you here and for your questions across all of the 4 sessions. I will be following it up. We will be looking for your feedback because we need to see how we can improve things as we keep evolving this and for any future programs going ahead. But thank you so much for your time and your input. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. And I'll press stop recording because it's capturing all of this, really. I will see you soon. Thank you so much, Celia. Mind yourselves.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.